So first off, Ayo!
Heyo.
So
Heyo.
nice to meet you. My name is Kyle, aka Chronic. This is Alanna, aka Thumbnail Lady. Thank you so much
Hi,
for
Kyle.
coming here for story time with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
That's so awesome. It was really cool that you got to react. I mean, you got to interview Ren recently. That was really
Yeah,
awesome. We
it was
watched that.
amazing.
Oh my God, that was incredible, and so much to learn from you and him on that. You guys are both beautiful people. At first, I wanted to just see. I kind of did some studying about you, and I wanted to see if everything was right.
Yeah,
So first off, you're a singer, songwriter, and music producer. That is
correct.
amazing.
Thank
Um,
you.
you have a master's in your counseling psychology,
That's right.
right on. And you almost have 10,000 views on YouTube now. So congrats on that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Um, you would call yourself the ultimate world music reaction channel. You're all about music, psychology, and philosophy, inspirational content, and quality self-development.
Yes, that's right.
So that is all what we're about too. So that's why we really wanted to talk to you, because we just feel kind of part of your family, like a sister from another
Oh,
mister. I can't say brother from
yeah.
another mother, but
It works. It all
it
works.
works, eh? So some of your socials, you got a lot going on here. You have a link tree, you have an Instagram,
That's right.
you have a Patreon that has 3 memberships with like a starter kit, a deluxe, and a writer.
That's right.
You got a Wix site that people can actually advertise and get a sponsorship from you. I think that's really cool.
Thank you.
You also have your own spring designing, so like you make your own merchandise,
That's right.
and it looks all amazing. You even have like what, the unicorn farts or
Yeah.
something.
I got a unicorn fart shirt out there.
Oh my
Oh, I
God, is that
love
something
that.
that you always say on your reactions or something?
I do, yeah, quite a bit. There's a couple of things like the unicorn farts or AO, that I go to that I've become my signature. And so I was
Right.
like, why not slap it on a t-shirt if someone wants to ever wear that? I may have to work on the design over the course of time, but I
Oh,
try
it's
here and
great.
there. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Okay, awesome. And also you have a buy me a coffee, and you have some memberships on that. And you also have a Rosalie debut AP that you have 19
Yes.
copies left. So you actually have your own music as well.
That's right. Yeah. It was my debut EP that came out 2017, I believe. So I have a few hard copy CDs that I was like, why not just try to get
Wow.
rid of them and share it with the world, whoever's interested. Of course, some of my music is digital too, but you
Okay.
just try to put yourself out there in different
Yeah.
ways and
Mhm.
see what takes, see what brings joy.
And I noticed that you've been on YouTube for a little over a year now. Is that correct?
With the reaction channel, yes. I with my music
Okay.
channel, I've been on it for years, but I didn't invest as much time or as much research in regards to how to grow the channel up until this
Right.
reaction channel. And then this one just kind of took off. So that's become my main focus. But yeah, a little over a year. And
Wow,
I
eh?
hit I hit the 1,000 subscriber mark couple of months into it fairly soon once I started being consistent. And then it just kind of took off
Mhm.
and it's been
Right.
exciting.
I've been watching you for 7 months now, by the way.
Wow.
When you put up a like, I shared one of your community posts that you said quite simply mind blown when you got about 10,000 subscribers in 1 month. That
Yeah.
jumped you up to about 27K. So I've been watching you with your Nightwish journey. As you know, we're big
Wow.
Nightwish fans.
Yeah,
So
no kidding.
no kidding, right?
No.
Easily
It's
said.
awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, so like we're really big on that, and that's what got me to notice you and your genuineness, your honesty, your ability to say whatever you need to say and not worry about what other people think about you is very encouraging for people like us who are a bit more sensitive. And
Yeah.
you're really good at deflecting, and so that's why it was really encouraging when you actually wanted to come on this, because you're a big inspiration, at least for me and for us now.
Oh,
So,
oh,
so
that's encouraging to hear.
yeah, so you're making waves yourself, so good job on you as well, right?
Thank you. Likewise. I love seeing that people who are creating, who are putting themselves out there. Sometimes that's all it takes is just ask, just that's what I did with Ren. And a
Yes.
door opened, and that was the start.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure if I should even ask because I'm nowhere near some of those other channels.
Right.
And I thought, well, this is my first interview recording this, for content. Do I
Mhm.
have what it takes? Right. I did research on platforms, how, what, where. And I said, you know what? I won't ever do it unless I ask. There
Yes.
will always be my first one, if you will, right?
Of
Um,
course.
Absolutely.
and it takes trying it. So I think it's awesome for anyone creating, no matter how big or small the platform, that we keep putting ourselves out there and network. We're part of something bigger than ourselves anyway. So
We are, and like Ren was saying, like sometimes you never feel ready, but you're supposed to go out and create and just do it
that's right.
anyways.
That's right.
So like I know I'm not always ready for these interviews either, and sometimes nerves can come in, but you go and do it, right?
You do it. Yeah. And you guys are doing awesome. I mean, there's you guys did the research and just
We
how friendly
try.
you are, warm-hearted people. Come on, the world needs that.
We do need that. So thank you, Rosalie. We noticed that your first reaction was actually Adele. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was a while ago, and you've had three different kind of studio backgrounds at least,
I
or is
have.
yeah.
I
So like,
have.
what's caused you to kind of switch your background? Is that just like trying to change it up, or is someone telling you what you should do, or
A combination. So the first one actually was in a completely different home. We had moved since then.
okay,
And I literally just sat myself in front of, one of our windows with a curtain.
okay,
And
yeah, yeah,
then since then, I've had the ability to use one of the rooms in our home now as a studio. That'll change again soon at some point due to renovations. But I've been just trying to play around. I had this one wall, the blue one,
yeah,
and then I decided, looking at other channels that are more professional, how often
hmm
there's more just like a room in the background, like more dimensional versus 2D, flat
yeah,
surface.
yeah,
Kind of like what you guys have going on. It's a room. It creates this idea of being together in a room with someone, if you will,
right,
psychologically. And
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
it's been playing around, looking at what other people are doing, but only so much. I want to do my own thing. I don't want to compare or fall into that trap, but I'll try
right.
to pull inspiration and then just do my own thing and learn as I go. It'll keep changing over the course of time. And I think that that's okay. I think it's
Yeah,
okay for
you
me
have
to
to
evolve.
evolve and adapt. And what I really liked
Yes.
about what you've done that I think has separated you right off the bat was with your playlists, you do world music and you do like
Yes.
America, Canada, and so on
Yes.
and so forth. And I
Yeah.
think that's very wise because everyone already does like the artist in like playlist. And I thought that was
Right.
an easy way for people to see what you were trying to push. And
Yeah.
that because it didn't close you in. A lot of people think we're just like metal reactors and all that, but we'd
Right.
react to anything. But
Right.
because we have so many things we reacted to
Mhm.
with Nightwish and all that, but with you, with the world, it kind of opened people up to you a lot, I feel.
I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, I wanted to do something that went with it. And I'm learning as I go. I'm no expert on the matter, but I'm learning that it's helpful um for people to do things, for one, that is true to what works, which you're already passionate about. There's
Yeah.
more longevity in it, right? You can be yourself if you are doing something that's genuine versus putting
Yeah.
up a facade. It'll be more exhausting over the long haul.
No
But
kidding.
also something that works with a brand. And I'm not saying that to over glorify marketing, but there is a place for that, right? The way we
Of course.
present
Absolutely.
ourselves, color patterns, just
Yeah.
different things. I'm learning as I go to say, okay, what works with who I am as a person and what can I put as part of my brand. And world music is true to me, but I want to create a channel where it kind of all works, right? From the banner to the logo to the
Yeah.
playlists. But it's honestly just creativity starts flowing more the more that I just try things.
Right, right. And I noticed on one of your blogs on your Wix that actually at first reaction channels kind of pushed you off a bit at first. Do you want to
Yes.
elaborate as to why that was not your forte, but now full circle, you're already kicking
Yeah,
butt on a
I mean
reaction
it.
channel?
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, I didn't know much about reaction channels. I knew that it was a thing, and I know my husband would watch them sometimes here and there. But
Okay.
there was something weird about this idea of watching someone watch something, right? And I never dove into it enough or even watched them enough to say, okay, I get it. I know why. I just knew of them. And so again, just watching someone watch something didn't make sense to me, nor do I
Yeah.
have any interest to sit there and watch someone go, oh my gosh, okay, subscribe, bye. Right? Like there's
Yeah.
no intellectual, emotional nourishment there for me.
Mhm.
If I watch something just for entertainment, say a movie or a show, there still should be some level of substance and life to it, right?
Yeah,
Be it a good
absolutely.
storyline, a good acting, a good plot, amazing soundtrack, compositional music. So it needs to be something that feeds me, entertainment
Mhm.
wise, educationally, emotionally. And
Right.
so just this idea of watching people watch stuff didn't make sense to me. And then when I thought, what can I do? I'm, with at home with the kids, I'm doing
Right.
tutoring and mentoring online. And when COVID started, I started doing that more, started my own business with that. And so there
Oh,
was this idea of what can I do from home that may take off more, right? Versus the music channel that's just growing very slowly.
Right.
And I was like, let me just try that. Let me review. And the more that I did it, for when I enjoyed it, especially once I found my niche with world music. If I would have stuck to
Yeah.
top 40s and the hot latest, I think I would have gotten very weary of it very fast, and people would
Hmm.
have probably hated me because I would have just probably critiqued a lot of that crap that happens in the music industry, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Where there is not a lot of life, if you will, and I have certain values, and I will speak on those. So I could see, and I did experience that at first. I could see many people just being like, oh, right. Many people come for bias confirmation.
They
I
do.
think
They
there's
Yes,
do.
a
Yes.
very
absolutely.
a select few that come to actually be challenged and learn, because it's hard, right? When our identity, our personality is questioned, right? What we value, what we spend our time with. Most people don't want that. I mean, who wants to really be refined in the fire? It sucks. It hurts.
I do sometimes. I'm weird.
Yes, but no, but that's probably because you're a very emotionally intelligent person, and that's not to say everybody else is dumb. It just takes it's not easy. I mean, even in relationship, we know this. In friendship, in
Yeah.
partnership, it's uncomfortable when somebody says, I don't like this or that, or you said something that hurt me. Even if we
Mhm.
truly love that person, it's like, oh, I don't like to fail. I don't want to be incomplete. I don't want to be imperfect. Whatever drives the why. And
Yeah.
so people come for bias confirmation. It's good to see people love what we love. And I could have not done that long term if I would have just tried to do what's hype right now. So
Yes.
the more that I got into what I enjoy, long story short, I realized, oh, I see. There's more here, especially those people who come for education, for
Mhm.
encouragement. There's something here where I can review and share my joy for music because it's genuine, but I can
Mhm.
also give something to other people. I'm of use. Ultimately, it's I can be needed, I can bring something of value and use the things that I know that I love or that I love to learn about. I keep
Right.
educating myself, and that changed reaction channels for me. That really gave me a new idea of why people look for that community, and it's beyond just, oh my gosh,
No.
the
Yeah.
reaction phase, shock effect. There's more here, and there's a whole community of people that go, oh yes, new artists, you love
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love, let's talk about this. So long answer, but that's how
No.
it's
Thank.
it's evolved, how it's evolved.
And you always say let the haters hate, but what I really love what you say is we were created to create, and
Mm.
that is so true. And why do you say that?
Well, that's a great question. You're asking phenomenal questions, by the way. Um,
Thanks.
yeah, it's you're welcome. It's one of those things where I believe that we were, regardless if people believe we were created or we came into existence through evolution, right? Whatever people's belief when it comes to faith, I believe that we were designed to do more than just exist and survive. And that's not everybody's lot, right? Some people are born
Right.
into horrible conditions where it truly is just a matter of survival, and they have to work extra hard to get to a place where they have the freedom to do things they enjoy, right? Because
Right.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
survival. But I think that those words, surviving, thriving, that we have that in our vocabulary, showcase that we long for more, right? The fact that we distinguish between surviving and thriving shows us we know that surviving, just surviving, is truly not the ideal for human beings. We
Mhm.
know that if someone comes along and says, I have no time for anything except to work, 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 or someone is suffering, we know in our nature inherently that's not the ultimate design. This person hurting, this
Yeah.
person
Of
barely
course.
making it is not, they're surviving. It's not what we were created for. And so I think there's something beautiful when we remember we were designed, we were created to bring something to existence, beyond just looking for pleasure for ourselves all the time, beyond just looking for our self fulfillment. There's a time and space for that.
Yeah.
But we our existence becomes of more substance when we put ourselves in something we made into the world. If we were designed to create it, however that came to be,
Yeah.
there's something powerful about rippling ourselves into the universe, as hippie as that sounds, but projecting ourselves into, yeah, into humanity, be it, with how we treat animals, nature, one another. And
Yeah.
I think because it's been proven that humans are made for relationship,
Yes.
scientifically, we
Oh
see
yes.
this. There's something powerful when we create and design something. And I think it also helps us deal with a lot of our existential crises a lot more, a lot better,
Yeah.
when we are not just surviving, living, existing, but we're actually making something, right? And that can be many things, right? Not everybody feels artistic, And so they might think, well, what does that mean? What do I have to give? I'm not an artist, a singer, I have nothing to create. But I would
Right.
say, no, we create everything and anything in between. That could go for the plumber, that could go for the lady at the cash register, creating a smile on someone's face as she checks them out, right? That could go for a mother, a wife, a husband, a father, anyone, no matter how small they feel.
Yeah.
We over identify with what we do in our careers at times, but we can create in the smallest little way, including the breath we take every day. And I think that adds value to our existence. And I think people need to be reminded of that, because we live in a very crazy world right now. And I think people long to know that they matter. And I think being told you are created to create gives people a practical takeaway beyond just, hey, you're loved, well, what
Of
now?
course.
Absolutely.
Right. What now? And so it's like, go do something.
Go do something. And like what we're trying to tell our son right now is to become a hero.
Yes.
Because there's so much going on right now in this world with, like, as you know, and he's really struggling existentially right now. So we're trying to tell him, like, hey, become a hero so you can stop that school fight, so that you can stop the bullying and all these type of things that are happening around him. And that's really encouraging, that you want all of us to essentially create and be that hero to stop all that bad out in the world because of all that suffering and all that. And I know that you're a mother yourself, and you have 2 kids, or do you have more? Or
no, I have 3.
You got 3.
I have not told this to public yet, but I got a 4th on the way. Actually, I haven't
Oh
told anybody. I have not told
Rosalie.
you two. I have not told, I mean, my family and friends know, of course, but I have not said anything on social media. So I will let you guys know that we are expecting our 4th. It's a boy. I got 2 girls, and this is my 2nd son now.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry, that hits because we just had our kid, and she hasn't had her period yet. So
so there might be something there.
There might be something coming as well.
We don't know yet.
You don't know yet. Time will tell. Time will tell.
Wow,
hey, that's creating a perfect for the topic, right? Like and that's what I mean. Like, some people, we get caught up in our world with the whole, only if I can create something big, then, right? We look at people like Ren and those masterminds that are like, wow, what a talent. And they're phenomenal. We need those. We need the Picassos and the Einsteins of the world.
Yes.
But I think it's important to really remember everything from creating a life together, raising up a human being, one of the hardest tasks in the world.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Right? To, little things like, like I said, creating a smile on someone's face, speaking life and encouragement, that's creating. And I think that's how the world keeps working. And I think in a world where things may seem very bleak, depending on who we listen to, those little sparks remind us, okay, there's still a whole lot of life. There may be death lingering everywhere, even in High Ren, right? We saw that whole battle.
Yes.
No kidding.
Not going anywhere, but hope will always stand at the end.
Absolutely.
Hope will always stand at the end. It's very exciting. Thanks for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. I might as well share now. People are going to wonder either way, what's happening as I change shape. I mean, I'm always up here with the camera, but at some point they're going to be like, "Oh, where's she?" Like, just she's expanding. What's happening here?
I feel that.
We feel honored that you shared that with us and felt comfortable that you could share that with us. And we feel good that we could at least tell you a little bit too.
I'm honored. Well, I think that speaks volumes for the atmosphere you guys are creating. I'm usually a regarded person when it comes to personal things. So you guys are creating a very welcoming place. And I think that's very special. Keep doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's what we try to do, because I've never felt needed or wanted growing up, so I always wanted people to have a feeling of coming in here to feel wanted and needed in the community. So I'm glad to hear that. Also, I wanted to say that your dad's Cuban.
That's
your mother is German.
That's right.
Did you grow up in Cuba?
No, in Germany. I've never been to Cuba yet. I lived in Puerto Rico for a few months, but I was born and raised in Germany. I came to the States in 2011. So Germany's my homeland.
Really? So I'm assuming you speak very good German, English, and
fluent.
Spanish, or
some Spanish. I'm fluent in German. It's pretty much my main language. That and English are. I grew up bilingual, so I guess English and German are both my main language.
Right.
But I some Spanish, some Spanish, a little bit of French from my training in school. I'm just out of practice, and then as I would travel, I would pick up words and phrases. So I'll confuse people because I'll call my children. I'll talk to them in in German. I'll tell them to sit down in Spanish. I'll call them over in Arabic. Like I don't speak Arabic fluently, but I just know
you got
words.
some nice.
Yes, I just picked it up, and then it became so ingrained in me that I'd be like, "Yalla habibi," like just they probably don't even know what the heck I'm saying half the time. It's like mom again. I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Mixing,
That's
matching.
amazing.
One thing I wanted to ask is clearly you like psychology, philosophy. I know you could talk for ages on that.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've always been big into is dreams and nightmares. Do
Oh,
you dream and have nightmares or anything like that? Or
yes.
are you
Yes.
vivid
Yes.
or?
Yes. Well, now especially
Now
pregnancies are
especially.
no joke. They're weird. I've had some very interesting dreams during pregnancy that it just enhances it. But yes, I definitely have had interesting dreams throughout my life, and even my perspective on them has also, I don't know if I should say changed, evolved, is developing. They're fairly vivid. They're not regular. The nightmares are not as bad, thankfully. I've had a few nightmares, mostly pregnancy related. There's been times in my life, I think, due to trauma, where I would have nightmares, be it of a sibling passing. My siblings and I are very close, or maybe something happening to my mother. And I remember I would wake up and it would feel very real. And it would lead me to just, sometimes just cry, pray, be very scared until I had time to process them. Thankfully, they've not been as prevalent in my life. It's never been a night terror type of situation.
Right.
For the most part. I do remember a very heavy dream that I may never forget. After I lost my first daughter, halfway through the pregnancy, I lost my first daughter. I was almost 20 weeks, and I went into labor prematurely. I didn't know I was in labor. And when I went to the hospital, they said that her heartbeat was fading, and my water had broke, so I was not able to. They weren't able to do anything. So they were basically telling me, "We're sorry. She's too. It was too early on." And gave birth to her. She had already passed. And it was a very, very dark, dark, dark season in my life. And I remember, I don't know if it was a few weeks or months, maybe weeks after, I was in a very, not a very wholesome time in my life. This was way back in 2012, I believe. And I lived in this house I was staying at that was like just run down, not taken care of. It was just a very much survival mode season of my life. Yeah. And I remember waking up to a horrible dream. I don't remember all the details. Someone that's very significant in my life as a mentor, mother figure, was in that dream. The baby, my daughter, was in it. And I just woke up and it felt so real. And it was it was a very painful dream. And I don't think I'll ever forget that, because it just reminds me of this time in my life where I was surviving a lot of trauma, a lot of just pain, and a lot has been restored since then. But it's been things like that where every so often it might be something heavy. For the most part, it's either just weird dreams or, yeah, just weird dreams. Once in a while, I have something really crazy. The other day, it was like action movie. I was killing people. It sounds horrible. I'm not overall a violent person, but I think there were children in danger, and it was like an invasion and war, and I was like going ham. Like, y'all, I'm talking action movie level. Yeah. And it felt so real. I was like, I don't want to go into too much detail, but
right.
Oh, I was not holding back. I would have ended up in jail if it was the real world. But anyways, I'm answering in so long. I apologize, but it just felt like that, where depending on the season in life, through trauma. And in the past, I would think that some of it was spiritual. Sometimes I felt maybe, the divine God was trying to, speak to me, or I would wonder if there was a spiritual interpretation. Now, it depends. I haven't had a dream in a long time where I would say, oh, this must be a message of any sort. It's usually more my brain is just processing. It's just all psychological. Now, even through some of my recent studies, I sometimes wonder if some of it is existential, like subconscious death anxieties, how we process our fears and our questions about life. It's hard to say, but I think dreams are fascinating.
Me too. And you answered what I was going to ask, like, what do you think dreams' purpose are? And you were kind of explaining that as well. I know for you, you'd rather a chat than an interview. So I'm liking how this is going, because we have a bunch of questions for you, but I already noticed it's already 10:26. So we're already 26 minutes into this.
That's fine. I'm really loving this. So we can also go a little longer.
Okay. Well, that's also great too. We have some questions, and I want Alanna to have some time to
Yes,
ask
I
you
would
some
love
stuff
to hear
too.
from Alana.
So if you
Yes.
want, you can pick some
So
questions.
we actually wrote down a few questions that we wanted to ask. And some of them that I was actually really curious about was from your past coming into being a reactor and then also like a singer-songwriter, what advice would you have given yourself now that you're here when you were first starting being in the music industry and then first starting moving into the reactions?
That's a great question. I think something I would have told myself, and I still need to learn, is for one to be more consistent with creating, even when I don't feel the creative juices, right?
Right.
Not
Yeah.
just waiting. And I know that a lot of people that are very creative and very emotional. I'm a fairly sensitive person emotionally. I
Yeah.
feel things very deeply, the joys and the pains. And I
Yes.
feel with artistic people, not for everyone, but for many, are those personality types. Sometimes we wait for the creative to flow, right? You have that even as a
Yeah.
writer where they have the
Yes.
writer's block. And it's really, really hard to push through that because you are, what we create is so much part of us that we don't want to just put anything out there, right? We don't want to just be fake and superficial.
Yeah.
And so it takes pushing through. And I think that's what we can learn from people that are more pragmatic and rational and, business driven,
Yeah.
to just keep going, keep creating, even if you feel like it's nothing or not so great. Just like you have to in day-to-day life, right? When it comes to taking care of a family, making money, you just got to keep going even when you don't feel it. So I think that would be
Well
one of
said.
my encouragement, is to not be too consumed by feelings, to keep creating, to be a little more business savvy, right? When
Yeah.
it comes to marketing, branding. I think another thing would be to, as much as possible, silence the voices, that the pressure of what we think we need to be. I
Oh,
think,
yeah.
at least for me, I think sometimes when I'm writing something or I'm creating, I get, and this is where social media is crucial, right? We may create something and want to put it out, right? Because it's our business. We want to make money. We have to make content, right? People are waiting. It might
Yeah.
be our source of income. But if we're too consumed with, oh, I got to put this up on Instagram, or I wonder what this will sound like on YouTube, right? Or, oh, I should make sure. I just had this the other day. I reacted to a song, and then my husband wanted to show me another song of the same artist. And he was
Right.
like, you want to wait to react to this? Do you want to listen to it now? And I couldn't decide. And in the end, I just said, you know what? Let me just listen to it now. And just enjoy it for myself. I don't want everything to become, oh, I could put this on YouTube. And we do
Oh
that with
man.
photography,
Absolutely.
right? We do it with
Yeah.
social media. Oh,
Well
does this
said.
picture perfect?
Well
Oh,
said.
I could make this a great post. And it's hard to separate those two. And it is your business. It is your
Yes.
world. But not being so consumed with what will this look like or sound like? Will people like this? Will people understand it? Just
Mhm.
create, like, put yourself out there, and getting more lost in it. And I know that sounds paradox to what I just said. Look at it more business, keep creating.
Right.
And now I'm talking about getting lost. I think that's really a dance
It
of
is a
being
dance.
consistent, being
Yeah.
rational, saying I have to create. Maybe I need to make a schedule so I don't just wait
Yeah.
to feel creative. But at the same time, when I do create, just really being fully immersed in it. And that kind of works for me with both music, but also telling myself that as a reactor, be consistent, be real. Um, for me, with the reaction channel, it's grown well enough that I feel like I'm on the right path. But I think if I could tell myself that when I first started, I would have just started right away with the psychology and the world music. I wouldn't have even tried
Right.
to find the videos that are brand new and hype right now, and just straight
Yeah.
to, don't even worry about that, just straight to what you feel called to do. Does that make sense?
It does.
That
So
does,
show up for
yes.
yourself. You are your business, and show up for
Yes.
everyone else. And what
Yes.
you said about, do you listen to music outside of the reaction
Mhm.
channel? That's
Mhm.
really enlightening, because I don't. That's what
Mhm.
I struggle with, is I want to listen to new music, but then I'm always struggling. Do I react to it, or can I just enjoy this new
100%.
band?
Yep.
And so that's awesome to hear that you have that battle sometimes too, but
Yeah.
sometimes you
Oh, a
gotta
lot.
go, yeah, and you gotta listen to it
Yes.
yourself sometimes, right?
Yes. And I don't do it nearly enough. There was a season in my life actually where and it was around the time of the loss, where I was in a very dark hole where I didn't sing much anymore. I didn't really listen to music much. And once I started and I felt that joy coming again, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize how much I had been missing it and how I had stopped. It just kind of happened. And the same thing goes for now. Life can get so busy that the other day I'm sitting in bed looking through old like playlists of my own on YouTube. And I'm sharing some songs with my husband that I had shown him before or that were new to him. And it brought so much joy to listen to these songs again that I hadn't listened to in years, to a point where I'm thinking of doing something for the channel one of these days, where I just want to do a full week of showing, everyone stuff that I know that I want to
Right.
bring to them that they
Yeah.
probably don't. Artists
Right.
that most likely my listeners haven't heard of, that I just
Right.
think is awesome. Like we're talking anything. The diversity is very great with what I listen to. So but it just day-to-day life, it just often just doesn't happen. And I need to do that more myself, where I just, be it while cooking or
Yeah.
in the morning, I'll put some instrumental music on. It really sets the atmosphere. But it's hard to remember because it's so easy to go, oh, I could put this on the channel. I 100% relate to that.
And what's funny is I call her my cheat code because there's a lot of songs that I've already listened to, but
Yeah.
she hasn't. So I can like throw it on the channel because it's her first
Good.
reaction. So
Yeah.
that's a way that I can kind of listen to the music I like as well and push it out.
There you go. There you go.
I have another question for you.
Yeah.
With being a mother, because you have 3 going on now, 4
Yeah.
kids, and a very, very busy life. How
Yeah.
do you make time for being creative and trying new things, and outside of even with your reaction channel? Because I know for us, having a reaction channel can take up quite a bit of time. We have our son is over at the neighbors right now.
Yeah.
And so how do you make time for growing yourself and your creativity outside of your business and your family?
Also a great question. Right now it's nap time, so that helps.
Nice.
And,
Nap time.
Nice.
and my husband is home, so it's easier on those days. It's a struggle. There are days where I feel very overwhelmed, where I may be editing and one child is, needs something, the other is climbing over me, pulling out cables out of the wall, and I will get frustrated. And then I feel guilty for feeling frustrated because
Yeah.
they are, of course, my priority.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't want them to ever feel like, oh, I read a quote where it said, your kids are not disrupting your work. They are your work. They are your job. Right. And of
Nice.
course, it depends on who you are, right? If you are the stay-at-home mother or stay-at-home father or working out of the home, there's all these dynamics that come into play, right? I would say it's just very different when you come home from a job where okay, I did my work now. They're home from school and I give them all my time, versus if you're always around them and you have to find a schedule. It's still something I'm trying to juggle and navigate because my eldest is in school, the other 2 are at home.
Okay.
And I try to work around things like nap time or the evening when they're in bed. Sometimes when it comes to editing, because that's easier, I'll record during nap time when everybody's asleep and the house is quiet, and I have them all kind of on a schedule. I mean, even if my older one is just watching cartoons, at least they're all quiet, right? They know not to disturb.
Nice.
And then I'll lock myself into my studio, so to speak, not literally, but I'll just, hunker her down, record. The editing is easier because I can do that wherever. I'll take my computer into the dining room. I'll sit on the porch watching them play. And it'll just require a lot of patience because there's 5,001 interruptions. It doesn't allow me to trade as much as I want to, but I try to work around that. Or on days where I have to edit a lot and I'm not able to play with them or be as present, and then try to make up for it the next day and say, okay, I got 2-3 videos edited. Now today, let me just, be more present with them. It's honestly a dance. Like, and every day is different.
Best
Some
way
days
to
I'm like,
say
I
it.
did it. I did a great job. Mom for the win. I created and edited, and I was a present mother. And then other days it's like, I'm failing. So that's our new middle name, anyways, right? Mother's guilt.
No
But
kidding.
it's something where I'm trying to learn, and just nap time helps. So nap time is a blessing, and then I'll edit as I'm able to all around the house.
I like nap time. We're gonna have to use that.
Yes.
Yep.
We're
I
still
love nap
trying
time.
to get, because our son, our newest Oliver, he is 4 months old. So we're still trying to get him into nap time on a regular basis.
Yeah. It's not easy. Like my little one, he'll cry for a bit, and he's old enough now. He's going to be 2 in September, where he'll fuss for a bit, but then he'll go to sleep, right? He's not at that age where I would feel bad for letting him fuss a little. When they're really little, I don't want to let him cry out or whatever too long. And then the toddler, well, she's not a toddler anymore. She's 4 now. She, if she's not going to sleep, I can have her read or watch a little something. But it really is just juggling. And that's the part for me that's sometimes challenging, is to give myself enough grace to go with that flow and to not go, oh, this was supposed to go this way. And it's hard. I mean, I work a lot and I work hard, right? I mean, I tutor a little online, though that's gotten much less. We run the household, we're into a rental. My husband is in healthcare, but also does rental.
wow.
So we do a whole lot. Like, we're
Yeah.
hustlers. And
No
so it's
kidding.
working hard is not strange to me, but it takes wisdom to find that balance and to be gracious with myself. Even when I don't put out as much, because then that's the flip side. If I'm present more at home, there's a lot going on here. I don't release as many videos, and then I feel guilty or anxious. And
Anxious,
so
yeah.
Absolutely.
it's got to release that a little bit, and just I do what I can, and the rest, kumbaya.
Schedule and dance.
Yes,
Schedule
there
and
you go,
dance.
right? Yeah.
I see that you have a violin in the background as
Yes.
well as a guitar. Do
That's
you
right.
play any other instruments, or are those kind of your two focus?
Well, the violin I don't play anymore. I played as a kid. My uncle, my great uncle, he was in the Munich Philharmonica, in the
Oh, wow.
Munich Philharmonic, and he funded me to take some classes when I was little. Forgot pretty much everything that I've learned, unfortunately. So it's more decorative. I play the acoustic guitar some, though I'm not nearly as good as I wish. And I have a keyboard on this side that I know some basic chords on. I don't play enough. It's more just for my personal time of reflection, maybe, play around with some song ideas. That's about it, though.
That's fair. Have you thought of getting your kids into playing any of the instruments, like the keyboard and the violin, or some of the instruments that you have for your children?
Yes, I would love to. I mean, when they're down here, then they like to explore on the keyboard. I haven't put them in any classes yet, but I've definitely thought about it. It would be awesome for them to explore, at least learn some of the basics. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I have a question here. You were talking about existentialism. We're starting to read like Friedrich Nietzsche. We just went and saw Jordan Peterson, if you know him at all. What type of books do you read, and what type of like philosophers or psychologists inspired you to become a psychologist yourself and all that?
Well, it wasn't so much specifically like specific psychologists or philosophers that inspired me to look into it. Looking into that field kind of more developed from my desire to help people. When I graduated in Germany with my Abitur, the A levels after 13th grade, I knew I wanted to do something like that, either some type of Bible school, some type of social year, some type of humanitarian work. And when I went to the seminary where I studied theology first, the doors kind of opened for me to continue to study with counseling. So after I got my bachelor's in theology, I thought there would have been either the option to proceed with my master's in the same field, or then do counseling psychology. And it kind of worked because that's kind of always been my desire, to help people, mentor, coach. And so those doors opened in that regard. It wasn't so much a specific, I think, person, if you will, like a famous psychologist or a philosopher. But then over the last several months, someone who has been inspiring me greatly is Dr. Arwen Yalom. He is a psychotherapist and psychologist and author of multiple books. The one that I read is called Staring at the Sun, and it deals with, he has a very unique, in my opinion, approach to existential fears and crises, and very much worth the read, in my opinion. Though I don't come to all the same conclusions as he does when it comes to faith and those things. The overall idea of how he deals with and encourages people to stare at the sun and deal with death, I find very inspiring. A lot of because he shares a lot of not stories, reports, experiences from his therapy sessions with various clients. And for him, he would often notice that underneath a lot of the turmoil was existential fears and death anxieties. And I just thought it was very profound to deal with, to talk about death. It's a very uncomfortable topic. People don't want to talk about it. They don't want to sit in the presence of death, because it is something we can't really grasp. And everybody has a different way of dealing with it. So that's kind of been more my angle to existentialism that I've found interesting lately.
Right. Okay. We'll have to check that book out then. I need a new one.
Yeah, we have several from Dr. Yalom that I need to still work my way through, but the one that I read was Staring at the Sun, and I just thought it was phenomenal.
Absolutely. Another question, just thinking, wow, I'm losing my spot. So if there was a question that I have for you, it's another one about life, but if there was a part in your life that you could do over in your past, what part would it be?
Oh, snap. Man, y'all got some good questions. You're inspiring me. I should take notes and be like, I gotta use some of this for my next interview.
Please do.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. So part of me wants to say I don't want to do any of it over again because, and sounds cliche, but I think there's validity to it. It made me who I am, right? So that's where I am now. It is what it is, and it's strengthened me, it's shaped me. But if I had to, right, almost one of those, you're gonna be thrown into the past. You don't have a choice. I think it would either be a tie between how I handled a relationship in college that was never really a relationship. But the reason why I say that is that it's either that one or another relationship in my life that was surrounding the loss that I earlier mentioned. And that season, those years, the first one, the reason why it's a tie is, and they're both relational, interestingly enough, because I think a lot of my identity and things that I've experienced have been in association with relationships.
Right.
The first one is it's a choice because though it was never an official relationship and it probably impacted me more than it should have due to my attachment issues and unhealthy attachment styles at the time. Sometimes I want to do that over because it stuck with me for so long. The way that things went with that friendship / relationship, the way that I didn't know my worth and I allowed certain things I shouldn't have allowed, that shaped me for many years. And I feel like it affected how I engaged with other people down the road, including the second choice, the other relationship where things led to just being in a really unhealthy place in my life. And none of these people were bad. It's not like evil people, but it was just there was a lot of things in me that needed healing. So it would be one or the other relationship where I allowed things in my life that were not right for me. I didn't know my worth enough. I had unhealthy attachment styles, and I think go back and just do them over and not engage with that person, or not allow those things to go the way they did, so that I can really learn earlier on my worth and my value and come on strong and confident. But it's hard to say, because even, in my teenage years, there were traumatic events that involved addiction and abuse from someone in my family, where I almost think, if I could have done that over, and come to the rescue for my siblings. There's different things where it would be hard to pick one.
Right.
The crazy thing in life is that it's a ripple effect, right? Maybe if I start all the way at the beginning, I can change the entire next few steps, every choice, right, and outcome. But how far do you go back, right? Because there's no guarantee, right?
Absolutely.
If I go back to my childhood years and change that, or avoided this person in my family to fall into their addictions and trauma, then I wouldn't have led to me having certain issues that now led to my choices with their relationships, right? It's like, you never know, right? It could have been because those people are out of my control, right?
Absolutely.
They could have still done what they did, even if I would have picked differently. So it's a great question, but it's really hard to answer. It may be a tie between those relationships, or trying to do something to avoid that other person in my family to fall into addiction. But how do you do that, right? If I could do it over, I still can't make them not.
Of course. And it's always interesting. It's always interesting when you're thinking about past questions, because it's always that butterfly effect aspect of if you make one change, how much.
And how much can you change it, right? Like if I could go back, knowing now what I know then, sure, I'd have like maybe forced this one family member into therapy, and I would have absolutely said no to this one guy. I mean, like, get in line, boy.
Get in line.
Or said to this other gentleman, I'm sorry, no, thank you, But then, then a lot would be different, right? I wouldn't have, someone in my life now that I do because of this. I wouldn't.
And you wouldn't learn from those experiences.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, it's true. It's hard to say. If I could, I would want to heal and help everybody. But, everyone has to choose life on their own. Can't choose it for them. So.
One thing I can say is it looks like you know your worth now, and something that's been really encouraging watching your comments and how you're attacking this channel like, you know, it takes time, you know, you kind of had some people going against you for the monetizing and all that right off the bat, and like, but you've always known your worth, and that's something that if you don't know and you can come into it, you can get so easily molded by other people's comments. And that was kind of my next question. It's how have you been so good at knowing your worth and deflecting these comments so creatively and so in love still? And that's one of our hardest things to do, is how do you take what they're saying and say in love what you don't agree with, or just to stand up for yourself?
It's hard because I want to be a loving person, and I try, especially, you know, on camera, so to speak. Like, you know, if I put a comment in, that'll now be in the internet, or with what I say in the videos. Behind the scenes is a little different story, meaning there's still a lot of refining and growth that I need to experience. Where I'll be quick to say something, or, you know, I'll judge someone and then I go, oh, that was not right, I'm sorry, right? But it's hard. Like when it comes to the monetization, I don't feel bad at all, because those people who are quick to go, oh, you know, just in it for the money, I think to myself, it's a hypocrisy. They're watching free YouTube unless they've paid YouTube for a premium membership. And if they do, then they understand that that's how the world works. Most people don't. And so they have no problem consuming for free, but they expect us to create for free. Like, get out of here. You know, I got mouths to feed, and, you know, my time is worth something. So that part, I think it's just hypocrisy. Like, because that's the way the world grows. And I have no shame in that. Like, I do think, you know, in our world, not to get too political, I do think there's a place for both capitalism and socialism, right? There's a need
absolutely.
Knowing your worth, being willing to make money, free market, yes, you know, but also caring for those in need, not leaving people by the wayside and being cutthroat. To me, it's both and.
So dance again.
No problem. It's a dance, everything, right? Both and.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I have no problem saying, no, I'm gonna do this for money. And I try to streamline that in different ways, right? Be it YouTube ads, be it Patreon, buy me a coffee. I went up with what I charge for a song suggestion. Yeah. Because if I just sit here for, you know, $10, $15, but I spent 2 hours of my time.
Oh yeah.
No. So that part has been easier. And when it comes to comments like that, I may, and say in the community, I may say something as, you know, I understand, no pressure, you know, thank you for just being here, because that's true. Even that helps. People can comment, they're helping the algorithm. That's fine. They don't need to buy anything. Or I try to respectfully respond and bite my tongue sometimes if someone were to try to critique that part. But the monetization is okay for me to just be like, that's the way the world works, business, branding, you know, welcome to adult life. When it comes to emotional comments, I've had a few different experiences. There's those who will say something that may cut a little because they say something that'll be more emotionally triggering, or they say things that's like partially true. And those are the hard comments, right? Because there's people out there, they may generally be smart, even psychologically. Plenty of people smarter than me, right?
Yeah.
And so there's people who will say things where there might be some truth, right? They might say something where they've seen something in me because of their intelligence.
Yeah.
But it may not be applicable in that situation. Yeah. And there's been a few situations I've been stunned because I'm like, yes, but no, you know, like, there's validity here and you might be onto something, but this is not the time and the place for one. It's not applicable in this setting. And so it's really, it's a challenge because I try to respond with love, and sometimes it's easy. Sometimes I just laugh. Sometimes I start responding and then I just delete it all. I'm like, don't even engage, Rosalie. Like, don't even engage. People are not paying my bills, right? Like, these people ain't paying my bills. They ain't, you know, I'm married to them. They're not my children. And then there's just people that piss me off. And I think to myself, you have no idea. Like, y'all think I'm sweet? Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, they have no idea. They think I'm this, you know, like I've been called some whitewashed Cuban. I've been told I'm some prude little whatever. And I think to myself, y'all have no idea. You know, like I would outdance all of y'all at the club.
You're an action hero.
Yes. It's like, you don't even, I don't show them the Cuban German that much, but oh snap. You know, like I have to really be like, ooh, if you were in the same room with me, you better like pray. Those are those moments where like it'll be more of a bark than a bite, because I don't really want the conflict, right? I might be like, you know, hold my earrings, hold me back. But I genuinely don't like the conflict, because it will wear on me. Like if I were to actually get into a serious altercation and my anxiety will go up, it'll take me a minute to calm myself down. And then I may feel guilty for saying something stupid in the heat of the moment. So Honestly, it depends on the comment. I try to, I need to learn to take things with a grain of salt. It's a little easier. The more that I do it, the more it's a little easier to take things and laugh it off.
Yeah.
Or to practice. And this is also a mental exercise. If the thought keeps coming, right? That comment, to try to practice to keep kicking it out. And then, thank God for filters, right? There's ways to set settings where YouTube blocks things. I went behind that curtain one time, y'all. I went to my regular comments, and then it allows you to check what was held for review. And then I think there was another layer where it says, I don't know. I don't remember. There was something where it was allowed me to like go behind that curtain, and I read just a few, and this was months ago. They're probably way worse now. They're probably really ugly. Like they're probably trying to come after my mama at this point. I don't know.
Really?
Oh my God.
No, not literally, but I'm assuming.
No.
I'm assuming, right? They probably wish me and everybody death. But I don't see those comments because they're held for review.
Right.
And I don't go behind that curtain anymore because I need to protect my peace of mind.
Good job.
So, as long as they don't literally threaten me, where now I have to really start throwing hands. Yeah. It's just people looking for love. Sometimes it's just like mentally ill. There's mentally ill people out there. Some of those comments are concerning. And then there's just people who are just they do what kids do. It's like little children, right? Some will behave to get attention. And some will throw tantrums to get attention.
Yeah.
True.
But sometimes it's ridiculous. Okay, I'm gonna keep getting thousands. Y'all keep hating.
Let the haters hate, monetize the haters, right?
Absolutely. Keep commenting. Yeah, tell me how much you hate me.
It just helps the algorithm. I'll send it to the next person.
That's right. And the bigger we grow, and not just monetization wise, I don't want to sound like some money hungry person, though I don't mind, don't get me wrong, to grow, but also when it comes to impact, right? Speaking of created to create, like we said in the beginning, the more, the bigger the audience, the more you'll also be able to speak life. So if it means building a little bit on the haters and the backs of those who are jealous or envious, right? I had one person say something that was interesting, and I don't even remember the username, so I'm not calling anyone out by name, but the comment was along the lines of, if you don't understand, it said, here's a thought. If you don't understand a simple song like this, maybe this isn't for you. And I was like, oh, that's, just mean, right? But I went to that person's profile just to see, and it was a 6 subscriber YouTube channel. And I'm not saying this to be cocky. I'm not saying this to be cocky, okay? But even through listening to some of these artists, I'm learning it's okay to flex a little bit without being like arrogant. I don't want to be arrogant or mean. But there's also something to be said for confidence and flexing a bit. And so I saw that and I thought, and this person was trying to start reactions. It looked like, but again, 6 subscribers, just the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
And so part of me could have been like, okay, keep talking. Mr. 6 subscriber, keep hating. Like, I don't even know what is this? This is like a little ant barking up an elephant. Like, get the heck out. Because people can say that. People will do that. I don't know for what reason. They'll say things like, oh, I don't know why, he would do an interview with her. She's unworthy, or, she's not even that big. And I'm like, that's okay. Keep talking. Because I know where I'm headed. Okay. I'm headed to where some of those big guys are, and I may never make it. So I don't want to flex too soon. But maybe I will. So I'm going to keep my eye on the prize. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep striving to be someone of greatness, not just with numbers. I'm also talking as a person, character. But I responded and I thought, here's what I'm going to say. And I just responded and I said, here's another thought. And then I sent an emoji of a crown and I said, I think you dropped this. Pick it up. Now keep creating and speak life. I wish you luck on your endeavors. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to hate back. I'm not going to go, oh, who are you to talk to me? I'm going to remind this person, I think you forgot who you are. Pick up your crown. You're a queen. You're a king. Now go and create. I wish you blessings. Truly, reminding people that are so hateful, like, hey, honey, I think you forgot who you are. Yeah. Because a true king and queen won't lower their level to that, to be so hateful.
No.
If you know who you are, you know that you're loved, and you know you are royalty, you're not going to go around here going, oh my gosh, you're just so blah, blah, blah. Right? It's like people of class will not speak like that. So it's like sometimes, even though that's hard because we'd rather punch them in the face, it's hard, but it's necessary. You know what? I'm not going to respond with hate. I'm gonna kill you with kindness.
You got to turn the other cheek, but it's hard sometimes.
It is freaking hard. And I don't always want to turn the other cheek, but like, hey, I'll kill them with kindness. Like I will suffocate you with a hug.
You got the guns in. Well, hey, we're getting close to an hour here, so I want to respect your. No, this is great. Like
I'm enjoying this so much. I was like, half an hour, 45 minutes now. I'm like, no, let's keep talking.
Well, hey, I know you're all about thinking about the future and moving ahead.
Yeah.
So part of me, YouTube is kind of trying to move into like the TV kind of section now. And that's why we have podcasts that are available as a YouTube content creators. Is that why you wanted to start with your interviews? And on top of that, the first person to interview is Ren. Ren is in Calgary right now getting treatment. We are from Calgary.
Oh my gosh, that's
and
awesome.
our first person we asked for this interview was you. So I find it full circle. We're kind of thinking the same ways. And was that one of your goals now, is to keep interviewing people?
Well, first of all, thank you. I'm honored, by the way, that I get to be part of this. Well, not so much podcast in regards to interviews, though there's definitely the connection. I had a podcast actually I did for a while called Woman Unplugged.
Oh.
And it did fairly good. I stopped doing it because life got really busy. It was mostly like for women, you know, encouragement, wife, mother, womanhood, life topics.
Right.
And then it kind of fizzled out. It's still out there. I just didn't continue putting up episodes.
Right.
When this channel started taking off recently, I started debating, and still am, looking more into the podcasting. The interview wasn't so much strategic in regards to the podcast, but just for the channel to grow. Because I want the channel to be more than just, it is a reaction channel, of course, but I'm at a point now where I'm trying to decide, do I just stick to world music and, you know, the psychology, philosophy, or do I expand to having interviews and conversations such as those, reacting to different content that's out there. Not just music, right? Where we can talk about meaningful things.
History or something.
Yes. Yeah. History, the current events. Let's talk about some of the difficult things. But I'm still deciding, because it takes wisdom, right? You grow when you do a lot of the scandal, hot topic, oh my gosh, but then you also polarize yourself naturally. And I would want to continue being a channel where I'll speak truth and what I think, but in a way that can still bring life versus just, oh my gosh, I can't believe them are doing this. You know what I mean? Like, you can grow that way real quick, right? You can grow real quick, but you know, I don't want to just be a gossip channel. So I'm deciding. And so the interviews work with that to grow, to expand.
I see.
But it would work really well also on the podcast platform. I just haven't finalized how to go about it logistically with everything going on.
Right
but
on,
definitely though. It's on the radar. It's in the works, if you will.
We want to see more interviews. It was great.
That was an amazing interview.
Yeah, well, hey, look at yourself. You guys are killing this. Honestly, like the questions you've been asking are like inspiring me. I'm like, I love the deep stuff. It's substance. I love
that's why we call it story time, because we wanted to know your story. Everyone has an incredible history that like if you just heard them, it would fill everyone's ears, right? Like everyone has something to say.
I agree.
Do you got any more? Or
I think the only kind of question that I have, because I have pages of questions that we wrote down just in case. But like with this being story time, is there anything about your story that you want to share with the world, with viewers, yours and ours, that you haven't really shared before?
Ooh, see, I'm telling y'all keep hitting me. I'm like, I'm stunned. I'm over here like, you know, none of them are just quick. Oh yeah, just easily, you know. Oof. You know, I think, and this is just because this is what I want to do, it would be to encourage others. There's a lot of things in my story that I generally touched on, right? Like the addiction and the abuse that I experienced as a teenager through a family member. And it was their hurt, right? Hurt people. It was their lack of, they didn't have enough community. They didn't have enough I feel like there would have been much more need for therapy, for community, for counseling to deal with their childhood trauma, but it led to, things that were not dealt with resurfacing, right? And so this family member in their pain then caused pain. And that was very painful and shaped who I was. The relationships that I kind of touched on generally earlier, the loss of my first daughter.
Oh.
There's a lot of elements in my story where it's been a mix of a lot of pain and a lot of joy, deep pain, with loss, with abuse. And when I say abuse, I'm speaking physical abuse, emotional, and psychological. Thankfully, no sexual abuse, but the other three, and a lot of pain. When it comes to those things, there was a lot of that. But then there was also a lot of powerful, beautiful things. Getting to travel the world. I've been to Africa, Tanzania
Wow.
specifically. Been to Israel and Palestine. I've been to Cambodia. I've been all around Europe. A lot of doors have opened as I just kept trying to do my best. And now I'm a person of faith, right? I have a lot of big questions lately, so it's hard for me to say
Yeah.
exactly where I stand with my faith because a lot of it is changing right now and is
Yeah. I feel you there.
Absolutely.
challenged. Yeah, it's being
Yeah.
challenged. I grew up Christian, you know, very strong in that world. Went to Bible college, Bible
Yeah.
seminary, as I
Theology. Yeah.
mentioned. And so a lot has changed over the last couple of years where it's hard to really explain right where I'm at, and it's a very intimate process too.
It is.
But I am a person of faith. I find a lot of comfort in it. And for me, I kept just trying to hold on to that. And I kept trying to do what was right. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn because a lot of it I felt like was just favor, right? Meeting the right people, people inviting me to speaking engagements, doors opening. Okay.
Mhm.
So I can't be like, oh, yeah, I did all this hard work and I'm so awesome. A lot of it was just opportunities opening up, meeting people, people going, hey, you want to speak here? Do you want to sing here? Oh, you can come to the studio here. You know, the first EP was done through a friend that I met through an online music community who basically produced my entire EP for free.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
You know, like I gave him a little something at the release party to play live, but I mean, just giving his time, you know, him and his wife, wonderful family, just different people that where our paths crossed, right? Where I tried to help other people helped me, a lot of favor. And, but I guess I could say I walked through those doors, right? Maybe that's where I can say, okay, I did the right decision. I took those opportunities. I said yes. I said
Yeah.
yes to
Said
life. I
yes.
said yes to open doors. And so there was both, right? A lot of the deep pain, a lot of deep, 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 deep joy. And without going into all the details of the story, I think my encouragement would be what I've seen in my life is that God has restored so much. And for those who don't believe in God, you know, you can say faith, the universe, whatever.
Yeah.
A lot has been restored. And I think that would be my encouragement for whoever listens, regardless of their perspective on faith or God or the lack thereof.
Yeah.
Restoration is possible.
Absolutely.
It can be restored. Like things can work out for good. And I'm not talking fame and success and happiness, right? There's such deep pain in this world where there seems no way out. People that are truly depressed, you tell them, oh, everything will be fine. That means nothing, right? People
Oh,
that
yeah.
have lost a loved one, widowers and widows, and people have lost their children, excruciating pain where words like it'll all be okay or time heals or it'll pass is like
Mhm.
that does nothing. That does nothing in the face of death and the face of pain. But I do believe, and I have to, because hope is a
Hope.
powerful
Hope.
force.
Yeah.
Hope is possible. Recovery is possible. And I think that would just be my takeaway from my personal life story. And my encouragement for anyone and their life story is keep choosing life. Things can be restored. Maybe not to the place they were before. Some things we can never get back, but healing is available. Freedom is possible. It has to be, you know, maybe I'm idealistic for thinking that,
No,
but it has to be. There is life available.
there
And that
is.
people are worthy of that. You know, when I was told by a therapist a few years back, you know, you deserve to be at peace. I had a really hard time even believing that. I looked at her and I cried and I thought, I don't know, man, with everything that I've done and everything I've been through, I don't know if I deserve peace, right? I kind of grew up
Right.
like that. Like we don't deserve that and just got to fight and no, it's all grace. And it's like, no, the older I get, I'm like, yes, we deserve to be at peace. We deserve to be loved. And it's there. It's available in this world. So, you know, without getting too preachy or kumbaya on y'all, that would be my story that I've experienced that I would want other people to be encouraged to not give up, to keep choosing a life. Recovery, restoration is possible.
And I think hope is a big thing that you said. And one of our artists that we started getting into is NF. My son's that's his favorite artist. We get to go see him in Calgary very soon. And hope is actually what's helping my son now and seeing Nathan's transition into hope. It's very encouraging. You said that you were a tutor, and are you tutoring people about mindset, or is it like something else?
Well, lately, over the past few years, because I went into teaching after working as a therapist for a bit, I was doing full-time teaching K-5. And so the tutoring was mostly educational, like just K-5, ELA, math, basics. But I also did more, I got into the mentoring part more. And that's something that if I continue that, if doors, you know, continue to open, that's where I've been trying to lean towards. So I have the last few students that I have were a mix, both educational, school stuff, but also mentoring them. And most of them, they were just kids. When I worked as a therapist, it was kids and teens, but that is where I would lean towards if I continue doing that. And if I still have the capacity, it would be more mentoring and coaching versus academics.
Absolutely.
Wow, you're juggling so much, Rosalie.
Yeah.
Like, but thank you so
Crazy.
much. I know we hit about an hour here, so I think this is a good place to end this conversation.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us on Storytime with ETC. This is Rosalie Reacts, everyone.
Thank
Give her a round of
you.
applause.
Thank you guys.
You're welcome. If you could, what's the best way that people can support you moving forward? I know you have a channel, you have
Yeah.
so many other avenues. What's the best way we could help out?
I think the easiest is just subscribe on YouTube.
Okay.
Rosalie Reacts, and because all the information is there. So if people ever want to, get connected or subscribe on the social media platforms or become a patron, then they'll find everything there about Patreon. But it's pretty much always the same across the board. Rosalie Reacts. So wherever they type it in, they'll find connections online. But yeah, I would say YouTube. Start with YouTube. Subscribe, watch a video you like, find some encouragement, and then see where they want to take it from there.
And you call your people writers?
Yes, yeah, I call them Writers Nation. One of my supporters, he came up with the name Writers Nation.
Writers
really
Nation, right
also.
on. Yeah,
But I say Writers Nation, any of those, because I've been always saying we're going on these rides around the world, and that kind of just morphed out of that.
Well, hey, thank you so much, my sister in faith. It's amazing to meet you finally. It's been so encouraging. Thanks for giving us as much time as you can.
Gladly.
And for all of y'all that are a member, we are now going to go react to a song. But for now, we are exiting the rabbit hole now, folks.
Peace and love, everyone.
God bless y'all.
Bye. Wow, they got me there for a second. I was like, oh, I think it's over. And then they come in strong again. I loved that. I think that was always my favorite part, to go in one more time. Man, it's interesting that she says, I smiled to you, if I heard that correctly.
Yes,
because
yes,
if the idea of the song is to criticize the hypocritical teacher and this judgmental friend, then to say I smile, to me almost implies kind of what we said earlier, kill him with kindness.
Exactly.
And, smiling in the face of that judgment.
Let's try to make this full screen. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Slay with them.
As the ability of her to switch the way she does is crazy. And I agree, she's really good in both, like just the singing and then the screaming and the growling. It's interesting to notice, beautiful young lady. It's interesting to notice, like I said earlier, that switch in attire, even when she was wearing the black t-shirt that said heavy metal 666. It makes me, I notice those things and I go, like, I wonder, is this, some type of genuine affiliation statement, or is it just a provocation? But you can definitely tell, even in that, in that genre, that there's this desire to provoke at times, to rebel, to, I guess that's how I take it. But the whole topic, when I read the background, was interesting to me. And I was thinking, how do what is there that one can say about that? I think that kind of concludes well what we were talking about earlier when it comes to a dance, the duality of many things, is that there's these two sides to it, right? What I read was that she had been like judged or criticized by doing some type of a lingerie shoot or whatever to promote a business of a friend. Exactly. And she was being, like, I guess, shamed for it, criticized, and that was kind of the response. And so I was processing that, because I thought, no, there's two sides to this, right? I definitely believe that there is, especially in our day and age, in our Western culture, there's something to be said for, and when I'll speak for the women, when it comes to modesty, right? That whole saying, modest is hottest, right? Like, there's something to be said for something still being considered sacred in a world where everything is considered for sale, and in a world where sex sells, music industry, media. I'm a big proponent, especially when it comes to music, for people showcasing their art without buying into that whole part of the music industry. I applaud people that can be beautiful and classy. I'm not talking about hiding in a potato sack, but like being beautiful, bringing class and their skill without buying into that. So I definitely there's a part of me that thinks, I do prefer when something is still considered sacred. In a world where everything is treated as a commodity, we forget that it takes away from the value, right? I mean, that's why I cherish and appreciate certain Eastern cultures and is Islam, right? Certain groups
Right.
in Islam where there's still, and I'm not talking about oppression right now if it's done against their will or something like that, but I'm
You're
talking
right.
about where, yeah, something is still considered sacred. If nothing is sacred, then everything is cheap. So if, just
I
like with
agree.
jewelry, right? A real diamond that is natural, not man-made, not some cubic zirconia, the real deal is going to be valuable. And in the same sense, we men and women should understand our value enough to know this is not for everybody. Not everybody should see everything of me. Not everybody should have access to every part of me because I am sacred. You're sacred. So there's part of me that says that's one side of the conversation where, yeah, I definitely think not even for the sake of promoting a business do we need to put ourselves out there like that. You can promote clothing, lingerie without taking your clothes off, in my opinion.
Right.
Because I have a big apprehension towards that because of what it's done to people, to marriages, to minds,
Right.
addiction,
Yeah.
whatever. That's one side. Long story short, long story long when it comes to me, right? That's that one side of the coin. The other side, however, is, and this is why I think there's a place for a response like teacher, is that we are quick to judge without knowing the full story.
Yes.
And we live in a world where people will be quick to, wag the finger and judge instead of asking questions. And so I think there is also the need for that part of the conversation to say, teacher, like back the heck up. You don't know what I was doing. I don't owe you a response. Because we do that. We're quick to judge, we're quick to criticize. And when it comes to religious circles, since I'm mentioning different religions, you have that a lot as well, right? Even in Christianity, where people have been hurt and burned because a lot was done in the name of God, or a lot was done in the name of, oh, how dare you? And it's like, let's have a conversation. Both sides. So again, long story long, it's a dual thing for me. I definitely have issues with the over sexualization in this world.
Me too.
I do believe some things should be sacred. There's beauty in modesty, but there's also beauty in humility. And it takes humility to say, you know what, this makes me feel a certain way. Why did you take your clothes off for this? Why did you do this? Why did you agree to that deal? But before I go bash you now, especially publicly, let's talk about this. Could you tell me why? What led to this? I think that there would be a completely different Ginger song out if that friend would have done that, right?
No kidding, right?
Right?
Yeah,
I
think
still
so
be
too.
crazy cool, but it would have gone very, very different, right? And sometimes it isn't ours, right? I mean, some people want to just put their opinion on everything, and it's like, is that really bringing life? It's kind of both and to me.
Absolutely.
And I think in this song, there's a lot of rebellion, like you were mentioning. And like she's saying, as I break the rules in front of your Trinity, I smile for you. Because what I take out of that is a lot of people want you to be a certain way, and they say all these things I want you to do, but they never check to see if you're doing it or giving you the steps to do it. And
that's
then
a big one.
Right.
Yeah.
So then now it's like, how come you're not doing this? It's like, well, I'm just gonna smile to get you off my back, and like I'm not changing. So like,
exactly. And even saying something provocative, such as in the face of your Trinity, right?
Yeah.
It's very provocative to someone who would believe in the Trinity, but it's also this idea of, I'm going to call out the things you believe in, because let's be honest, there's a lot of things that those who judge believe that make no sense. Right?
100%.
That'll casually, because they grew up with it. They'll be like, oh, the blood of, the blood of this, and they'll use phrases because of their religious upbringing that is natural to them. And I speak of this from firsthand experience, right? We'll say things that were like, well, I grew up with this is what I believe, or I used to believe. So it comes natural, and we don't even realize how whack that sounds to other people. Like, what do you mean,
no
blood
kidding.
Of the lamb who? Like, blood what? Like, eat who's
crackers?
What's wrong with you? I was like, what the fudge are you talking about? Right? But you'll have, like, say, for example, with Christianity, and that goes for any religion. Okay. I'm not trying to in no way bash any religion, but that goes for any religion. You'll have those who will say things casually, judgmental, like, oh, and you need to, and in this name and in that, and people will go, you sound like a freaking wacko. You sound like a sect. But we don't, it's hard to admit that. It's hard to take a step back and go, oh, your questions actually are valid. And I guess that does sound a little crazy, doesn't it? Right. And so to say, in the face of your Trinity, to me, could almost imply, like, in the face of your interesting beliefs, right? To
yes,
me,
exactly.
to me, I'm going to smile, because for you, it may be 100% truth. It doesn't make sense to me. And I think sometimes it's good to be reminded of that, for all of us to come off our high horse, if you will, and go, not everyone has the same worldviews, and nobody has all the answers. I don't believe that everything just is relative in a sense of it doesn't matter. But And I do believe that for truth to be true, it has to be absolute, right? If otherwise it's not
Yes,
truth.
of
But it's
course.
hard to come by. It's hard to
Yeah.
come by. And we're quick to claim things as absolute truth when
Yeah.
it's much
Just an
more
opinion.
complicated.
It's not the truth.
Exactly. There's no way to absolutely prove that. And so while I believe that some things are true, absolute truth is really hard to come by. And I think it takes humility to go, I don't have it. I don't know it. It's maybe a matter of faith or conclusion or experience. Most of what people believe and choose is experience and culture and upbringing. And so, yeah, I think there's definitely that provocation of going, I'm a smile on the face of that.
Yeah.
Because it's and then sometimes it's also a personality thing. I love learning about personality types, the Enneagram, for example, or Myers-Briggs. And sometimes you'll have those, I don't know, maybe she's a type 8 in the Enneagram. I don't know. You'll have those who go, oh, okay. You want to judge me? You think you have me figured out? Let's go.
I think she's like that.
That's me.
Write a whole freaking song about her. Like, oh crap. You don't want to mess with her. But
and Rosalie, you said something really profound, I think. You're talking about over sexualization and the sacredness and how I've been studying a lot of mythologies and all that, how we used to worship the Virgin Mother and the child, right? So like that is part of the over sexualization of the modesty, is we used to worship the Virgin, where now it's not necessarily being as worshipped, and now everything's kind of not sacred, like you're saying, and there's no and that's kind of amazing that you brought that up. And also, I know I didn't want you to feel so uncomfortable during this song, so we do apologize if this was a little too heavy or anything like that.
No, that's fine. It's good for me to be challenged. Like I said, I didn't grow up listening to metal. If I would have listened to this back in my Bible seminary days, I would have probably rebuked you and your mama.
I was gonna
It's really interesting to hear you say that, because I was raised Christian. Like very heavily Christian. I was not allowed to listen to metal. I wasn't allowed to listen to rock. I wasn't allowed to watch Ellen DeGeneres. Like I wasn't allowed like anything. So coming into this channel and now being introduced to a lot of this for the very first time, and I understand your point of this growl sounds demonic, like we weren't allowed to be near this. Like it's the cliche of it. Cliche. Yeah. And I always found it really interesting, like, because before I knew what the song was about, just hearing the lyrics of like laughing in the face of your Trinity, she was talking about how don't let the teachers judge you, for they will throw shame on your face, where the shame is on their own. And that was kind of where I was bringing a lot of this up, because I was in a uniform school where you had to dress a specific way, you had to speak a specific way, etc. So this was it's very interesting hearing your thoughts on it, coming from a very I don't want to say similar, like the same background, but very similar.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard. Even in the last few months and years, like I said earlier, it's a sensitive topic. It's very personal because things are still changing and evolving when it comes to my faith. And they may always, right? I've often looked at it from the sense of I need to figure it out and come to a conclusion. Absolutely. And it's been very hard in this season of my life to be okay with not knowing and to resting in that, to stay in that. I get very restless, almost like I need to know the answers, crying out to God.
Me too.
Core fundamental things in my faith being in question that I don't have an easy answer to, especially when you educate yourself, right? And it's hard to find people where you can have those conversations and they're scholared enough to dive deeper without just throwing a verse at you, or it's just this or it's just that, right? And then you go, no, actually that was taken out of context, and that's a false translation. And if you look at church history and other religions and culture, the more we open our minds, it's again a dance, not to overkill that word, but we open our minds and we can learn empathy, compassion, we gain wisdom. And that's a beautiful thing to try to attain. But at the same time, of course, we don't want to open our brains so far that open our minds so far that our brains spill out. So it's like, it's this weird balance of having a belief, being true to what you believe, but also being willing to learn and to understand that in life, teacher, like, we are a teacher at times, we are the student at times, and sometimes we don't know. And how do you accept that place of being in a place of not knowing, and knowing that we are loved and there's grace even in that. There's mercy even in that empty room of going, I don't know, and I feel lost right now. So yeah, no, I think it's both and. You know what I'm saying? Like the world history shows that, full circle. We've gone from, prostitute temple worship way back in the day, right?
Yeah.
We've gone from polytheistic religions where it was very normal, where sex was part of worship. Then you went to monotheism and monotheistic religions where, and then everything in between, right? From multiple spouses to one spouse. And then depends on your culture, West versus Eastern religions, what is considered pure or not. Everybody has a different opinion. And I think we can all learn from one another. I think it's both and, right? You know what I'm saying? There's something beautiful about none of it being over glorified, right? Sex is a beautiful thing, sexualization.
Yeah.
But if it becomes God, then it's misplaced. That worship is misplaced. And that's kind of what we're living in right now, where like people's identity is so tied in our search to be more than a gender, in our search to be more than just one or the other, right? To break free from labels. We've gone so far the other way around now that we're over identifying with our sexuality. And it's like, I thought we wanted to be free from that. I thought we wanted to be free from gender roles and from labels and from being boxed into some binary system. We're now we've rebelled against it so hard that we're now
that we went full back to it.
Back to on my sexuality, right? It's like, but I thought that's what we were trying to get away from, not just being I'm a woman and a man.
It's really interesting that you say that, because even when we're getting so far away from like the stereotypes, our son Oliver, all of his toys are pink. Because all of my friends have daughters. So everything we've been donated, and we're like, it's just a color. It's fine.
Right. But in that, again, to your point, exactly, it's a color. It doesn't mean anything. When we then say, okay, because I wear this color and I dress a certain way, you're going to have to see me a certain way. It's like, but I thought we were not associating clothing and coloring with gender.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
It fits to this idea in the sense that it's a hypocrisy both ways around, right? The person being quick to go, what's wrong with you for being different is judgmental. The person going, you need to say whatever I want you to say and see me the way I want you to see me is hypocrisy.
It's the same form of judgmental, just on two sides of the coin.
Absolutely. It's a polarized, just lack of going, I'll come to the table with the humility of knowing what I believe to a degree, but being willing to be wrong. It's hard because our identity is formed around it, right? And if someone says everything I built my existence on is possibly wrong, when it comes to faith, when it comes to worldviews, who am I? And that's what we all want to figure out. That's what we're here to do, right? We're created to create. We're trying to figure out where's my place in the universe? Who am I? And when that gets shaken as we get older and we're on this journey called life, it's scary because we tie so much of our existence to our perspectives. But I think it's good to be willing to learn. We need those people like Ginger, the band, and her to be like rebels and say, don't you criticize me. But we also need those who go, hey, wait a minute, did we need to do this? Right? Like it's both and, right? So I don't know.
Well, that thing that we're struggling right now with sexuality, Avery right now, we're actually speaking to teacher, we're going to start homeschooling him he really wants to become homeschooled because he feels like the teachers are pushing him to become a woman, though he's not ready to be a man yet. And that's like his own words. It's like, I'm a boy. I'm not ready to become that man yet, but I don't want to be a woman.
Yeah,
so I just want to be a kid. Like, let me just be a kid.
Let the kids be kids. It's sick. I'm sorry. I don't
want
to get political, but that's ridiculous.
But
that's us. Yeah. That's adults and their existential crises and their desire for meaning, pushing it on children who could give a rat's behind because they just want to freaking live.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's a lot, and like watching you react, I can really see why people love watching you react, and like they have so many questions they want to ask you while you're reacting because you're processing so much and you have so much past that has gone through your life that you have real experience when you're watching this stuff. I actually didn't even grow up as a Christian myself, so I came to faith way later in. So this teacher stuff really hits me deeply because of how much people are telling me to be something. But then once I hold the ultimate teacher and Jesus, in my opinion, that's who I started listening to. But regardless, it's just such an amazing conversation that we can have with you that we've now taken out of the song that we've already heard many times. Right. So I just want to tell you how good of a reactor you are and how you actually are making people think.
I appreciate that. It's hard sometimes, because those feelings, I feel like that apprehension and what do I do with this? It's hard to show that to other people because, of course, if I were to just go, oh, this is really weird and it's freaking me out right now because I feel almost guilty because it almost sounds demonic, but I also don't really fully believe in certain things anymore. And that's why, I do believe in the spiritual world, but in the sense of it's a mix of processing my own emotions while being in the middle of my questions. And
Yes.
how much does one show that, how much does one go and elaborate on that, right?
Yeah.
Because there's the duality in the world and there's duality within us, right? There's part of me going, it sounds evil because that's how I grew up, but
Mhm.
I also don't believe everything's evil the way I learned when I grew up, right? Not everything, there's not a demon behind every bush, right? Like
Exactly.
and then
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go, there's this duality in me of trying to process this and come to terms with where I put this. How do I share that and convey that in a way that is not overwhelming for the viewer and can actually lead to a dialogue? It's hard. It's hard. It's all
But
a
you're
dance.
doing it.
You're doing it. You're
I'm
doing
trying.
amazing.
You're kicking ass, Rosalie. We're so proud of you.
Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I wish you all the blessings and growth in the world. Oh man, may many more just blessings come from it. Views and people you guys can speak life into, and financial blessings for you and your family. I hope
Thank
you
you,
all take
Rosalie.
off
Thank
like a
you.
rocket. I really wish that for you.
We
Thank you
really
so much.
appreciate it. Thanks for being here for almost 2 hours with us, eh?
I'm honored. Honestly, I thought it was gonna be like in and out, and y'all started with those questions, and I'm learning from you. Like they were absolutely enjoyable questions to discuss, like a conversation, kind of like the Ren thing.
Yes.
I
And
prefer that.
watching your interview with Ren really helped, because sometimes you can be too
Yeah.
material based and not be
Yeah.
ready to move with the flow. And that's
Yeah.
sometimes what I get nervous about, even with the reactions, where I kind of have too much of I'm like running a show, where
Of
it should be
course,
more of a
yeah.
conversation. And that's what you've
Right.
really helped me with. I don't like to watch songs that I haven't heard yet, so I don't watch all your reactions, but anyone I
Yeah,
have
that's
heard,
fine.
I've checked, and like that's
Yeah.
what I've taken the most out of.
I'm happy to hear that. I'm learning as I go too. We're
Of
all just
course.
learning and growing. We're living. That's a sign of something that's alive, right? It's
Yeah.
growing.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. Do you want to send us off the way that you do always?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I am so excited we got to be on this ride today. People, thank you for watching. Make sure to, if you haven't already, but you probably are because you're members, subscribe on all the channels. Rosalie reacts to Kyle and Alana on ETC. Thank you for being here, you guys. And I will see you on the next ride. Ayo.
Ayo, and we are exiting the rabbit hole now, folks.
Peace and love, everyone.
God bless y'all.
Take care
Bye.
and bye for now.
Bye, Rosalie.
Bye, Rosalie.
Thank
Congrats
you.
on the baby.
Yes,
Thank
congrats
you.
on the baby.
Blessings. Let me know how it goes with you guys and what's up.
We will let you know as soon as we know for sure.
We'll
Okay,
keep
yes,
in
please.
touch, and we'll let you know when your interview is kind of getting closer to, if you want to
Okay.
like let people know and send us
Heck yeah.
all
Yes,
that stuff.
Yeah. Let me know what
Okay.
else you need on my end. I'll just email it and I'll send you whatever you need. And yes, what around what time frame or day frame you guys want me to start promoting it. I'll put maybe a story and a community post and different things out. And maybe in my next few recordings, I can also point people to it. Once it's out and I keep putting reactions out, I can also within my actual other videos be like, hey, more awesome content, and tag it, and I'll link all those cards. Y'all know the deal. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And just so you have a kind of time frame, we're gonna try to do these bi-weekly. So I'm gonna try to get them out every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And you're our third interview now.
Nice.
So most likely this will be out in about a month and a half. So no stress right now. But then
Perfect.
once it's set, we'll kind of keep in touch, and we'll try to see some of your premieres and all that. When do you normally premiere? Like
Honestly,
your
I
time?
don't have a set schedule for, you mean like time wise? When I do a premiere, I try to do it like 10 or 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
I had not been doing that many premieres lately. I just release them, schedule them and then push them out.
Yeah.
But when I do premieres, it's around that time frame, 10 or 11. Most of the time.
Okay. And one more question. Do you have any advice for us?
Great question. Well, for one, I would just say keep being you guys, because you guys really flow nicely. I love how you guys took turns with asking the questions. You guys both have nice textures to your voice. It's nice listening to you. So that's pleasant. It's not like, because, I mean, not to be mean, but, not everybody, it's not easy to listen to everybody. So you complement each other well, even with the male female voice. I like that a lot. And the questions were phenomenal. So I would say just keep, being bold to talk about the hard and the heavy things. Don't be afraid to go deep, as you feel comfortable and led to do. Keep being true to what you feel, what you believe. And I think then when it comes to the marketing standpoint, just keep pushing the videos out consistently, and make sure that your thumbnails and your titles like pop a little bit. I've been trying something lately where I'll put in like numbers. My husband does research here and there, and he suggested I use numbers. So say, for example, instead of just titling the thumbnail after the artist and the song title, maybe put in something catchy like "This blew my mind," or over 95 million views, right? Or you'll be hooked in 1.5 seconds. Like, numbers and keywords, not too many words, bright colors, be authentic. Like most of my thumbnails, I use an actual screenshot from the video. So I don't have some, that's what you guys do too. So I'll do that, and then I'll use canva.com to make my thumbnails.
Nice.
Sometimes I will use like one of their design templates and I'll fill in what I need. Other times I'll just, copy paste the style I've been using, and then I'll plug in the artist and the title. And then once in a while I'll look at some of the thumbnails of some of those big guys like Knox Hill or like No Life Shack and those guys, and some of the way that they highlight and make their stuff pop. What else? You guys know how I have my playlists organized. I need to do more shorts, and I'm trying to, when I do shorts, do kind of what's been trending lately, where like the captions and then certain words pop in a different color. You know how like the captions will go like on TikTok.
Oh yeah, totally.
Stuff like that. And then just keep going. Be consistent. I think the more consistent you are, I think that'll be good. And I'm excited to see how this interview does, and I'll do what I can to push on my platform, so that people can meet you guys, because you're awesome. I mean, really, I'm so glad this happened.
I'm so glad this happened too, Rosalie. The way that you talk about how much you enjoy your time, and you just gave us almost 2 hours, that really means a lot to us.
It's my pleasure, my honor, man. This life is short, and if I could share it with awesome people like you, I did something right?
I hope so.
Heck yeah, I know I did. So I don't know. Y'all have to decide.
Hey man, thank you so much again. You have a great rest of your weekend. If you have anything planned, have a great time with it, eh?
Thank you. I don't know. It's going to be grocery shopping now. Maybe throw something on the grill later, trying to get up the pool ready for the kids. So stuff like that.
There you go, eh? Okay, stay healthy. Guys.
Yes, you too. Be blessed. Let me know if you need anything from me, and maybe we can chat again sometime. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay, Rosalie.
All right.
Take care, eh?
Take care. Bye, Rosalie.
Bye.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Enter the Chronicness.
Special shout out to all of our patrons and YouTube members. We appreciate all of your support.